Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados.
Because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alicia.
I'm Nathan.
And I'm Alex.
Welcome to this episode of Adventures and Mousecapades. This week, we are welcoming a first-time guest to the show, Alex Briggs. Alex and his family have been on a couple of Disney cruises before and had an amazing adventure on the Disney Magic out of Galveston. Since we'll be doing this exact itinerary next year, we thought we'd get a head start on our research.
We also want to highlight a charity that Alex started to help wounded vets recover from traumatic brain injuries and post-traumatic stress disorder. A Purple Heart and Bronze Star recipient, Alex was injured by an explosion while deployed overseas and needed life-saving hyperbaric oxygen therapy to recover. Alex started Silent Wounds and Warriors to help vets and first responders facing similar physical and mental injuries get the help and treatment they need. We'll get into all that later in the episode, so stay tuned. And with all that, welcome, Alex.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be on the podcast.
We're so glad to have you here.
Yes.
Yeah, I will take any opportunity to talk Disney. So
we are the same
love
way
to
for
nerd
sure.
out.
Yeah, we actually met, Alex and I, on a work call, and Alex noticed that I may have a few Disney-related things in my background, both in my home office and my office on campus at work, and that, as it often does, launches into some pretty awesome conversations.
Yes.
So now we have Alex on the podcast.
I know, and it's so wonderful too, because like I feel like sometimes you talk to someone about your Disney passion, and they just don't get it. And then you find like another person that loves Disney, and then you like instantly click and you can talk about anything. I love it.
Yep.
Yes.
So, Alex, what is your Disney background? Was the world of Mouse a big deal for you or your family growing up?
Yeah. So I actually grew up in Southern California, in Riverside County. And my family didn't have a ton of money growing up, but there was this pass called the SoCal Select Pass.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, like my parents were willing to buy that for us every year. Usually that was our Christmas present. And so some of my favorite memories growing up were going to Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
And most of my friends had the SoCal Select Pass. And so parents took turns taking us. And it was, like the happiest childhood you can imagine. Like some of my favorite memories growing up were Disneyland. And it's just so magical. So when me and my wife first met, and we got married, we're like, we want our kids to be Disney kids. We want them to experience that same joy that I had growing up and just live that Disney life. It's just so much fun.
Yeah, you probably had like the ideal childhood for any Disney nerd. We all come from all over the country. We all longed for those Disney trips that never happened. And so the fact that you were a local just,
I know, right?
My inner kid is incredibly jealous.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And so, me and my wife actually met in college. Didn't have a ton of money when we were going to college. We were dirt poor. But a few years after we got married, we went and stayed at the Disneyland Hotel. And of course, you meet people that talk about DVC, which I didn't know about until a few years earlier.
Right.
And we got wrapped in it. And we bought our first contract back in 2021.
Okay.
And we bought into Riviera without ever having stayed at Riviera.
Oh.
But
have you been since?
Yes, many times. And Riviera is one of my favorite resorts. It's just one of my favorite places at Disney World. It's just very subtle, all the Disney hints, and it's just so magical there. I love it. And since then, we've made some very poor financial decisions along that, in recent years and all that. But very, very happy with all of the Disney things that we've done. They've added to our children's joy and our joy. It's been great.
That's awesome. Yeah, we made some of those same poor decisions in the last couple of years, so totally understood. So you've been on a couple Disney cruises previous to the one we're talking about today, right?
Yes. Yeah. So this was our third cruise.
Okay.
Our first one was the Disney Dream, and that was back in 2022 during COVID time. And yeah, that one was magical. And so we caught the Disney cruise bug.
Yeah. And then you were also, I think, on the Wish. Is that what we set up before?
Yeah. In 2023, we went on the Wish. It was a quick one. It was a 3-night trip, but that was also a fantastic cruise.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So you've hit all the different types of ships.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
We should clarify. Alex was on the Magic, and that's what we're talking about here today. So you've got them all, at least until the next class comes out here towards the end of this decade. And then, we as Disney folks, we have to hit all of the things. So we'll all get there.
Very looking forward to it. When we were at port, we saw the treasure, and I was like longing to go on it. Maybe this year, next year. I know you two have a treasure cruise booked, so
yes,
we'll have to hear how that goes.
I can't. My mind is blanking as we're recording this ahead of time. I think when this comes out, we're on the ship or just getting off the ship. I forget exactly how the schedule works out, but
it was an amazing time.
It was a fantastic time, the best of our lives.
Alex, who was in your sailing party?
Oh, we had a huge group. So. As every Disney person does, we love to talk about Disney, and I always talk about our trips with cousins, uncles, in-laws, all sorts of things. And I have this really bad problem where I probably need to get help with it. But anytime someone mentions a vacation, I will book one there instantly. So my wife's parents were in town. And we're like, hey, we don't have a cruise booked, which is a problem, right? Like, you can't not have a Disney trip booked or a Disney cruise booked. So we got on and we booked one. And then it just kind of expanded from there. And then my wife's sister was like, hey, maybe we'll go. So her and her husband and their 3 kids went. And then we have family in Texas. And since it was out of Texas, they're like, hey, we might as well jump on too. So my wife's aunt and uncles came, or 2 sets of aunts and uncles, and then their kids, and then her cousin and his wife and their daughter. So end up being 21 people.
Oh my goodness.
And that was the first time I've done a cruise with that many people, and it was fantastic. It was so much fun. Most of us got to sit together for dinner.
Yeah.
And we just had such a wonderful experience, sharing our Disney love with my wife's family.
That's great. Did they accommodate you guys at there's usually one big, huge center table in some of the dining rooms. Were you there, or were you kind of at a couple different tables that were next to each other? How did that all work?
Yeah. So most of us were booked through the same travel agent, which is my sister's a Disney travel agent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And so I always book my stuff with her, and then most of my wife's family did too.
Okay.
But her aunt and uncle have a different travel agent that they work with, and it didn't get linked, our reservations on that side. And so unfortunately we weren't with some of my wife's aunt and uncles and her cousin, but most of us were together.
Okay. Got it. So that was going to be actually one of my other questions is, this is a lot to try to coordinate. So you did use a travel agent. Great to have one in the family. Yeah. Did that help with port adventures or onboard activities and things like that? Did everything go through the TA?
So that's a good question. And I will say it's amazing to travel with that many people, but it also can be very difficult.
Yes.
Because especially with excursions, my personality is every time we've done a Disney cruise, months and months ahead, I'm looking at the excursions, looking at which ones I want to do. And this trip, it was kind of hard to get everyone on the same page of, hey, what are we going to do at each port? And usually for the excursions, I would just book it directly with Disney.
Right.
So we didn't really book anything until right before. And we didn't go through Disney on it. So in Progresso, we just were like, let's just get off the boat. Let's explore. And that actually ended up turning out pretty good.
Okay.
There's a beach right off the port. you actually have to take a van because the Navy owns the dock. And so you have to take a van. I think it's like 2 miles to get to where they drop you off in the city.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that. I remember looking at a map of Progresso, and like, yeah, there's this huge pier that juts out into the Gulf. So I was wondering if the cruise ships were way out that far. So the answer is yes.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a trip. So just if you have kids, a stroller or anything like that, just be aware of what you take off the ship.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll circle back around to the ports for sure.
Okay.
But one of the things that we always like to talk about is kind of the beforehand of the travel. So you had lots of folks, you guys at least, traveling in from all over the place. I think you're in Utah or somewhere else in the middle, not in the, not right there at the port. So did you fly in? Hopefully it was at least the day before. Like, where did you stay? How did you handle ground transportation for you and, a whole crew of 21?
Yeah. So everyone was kind of responsible for their own travel. We didn't go through a travel agent for any of that. Usually, like my father-in-law, he was a farmer, so he has points through certain things from his businesses, and aunts and uncles own different businesses and things like that. So we all book our own travel. Salt Lake City is the hub for Delta, so I always fly from Delta to Houston. And most of the time, what I do is I just take an Uber. And we got in pretty late the night before because I always get there the day before. And it was just pouring.
Oh no!
So it was a little bit of a wait to get an Uber. Just be aware if you arrive late and it's pouring, you might have to wait like 30 minutes. But went and stayed at a nearby hotel, and then the next morning just took another Uber to the port.
Okay, got it. So you stayed in Houston and then got a ride down to the port the next day.
Yeah, After some lost luggage from my father-in-law.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be a vacation if you didn't have something
right?
stressful to detox from. So
it didn't get there in time, and finally it got. Disney got it in Cozumel and brought it to the ship. Their customer service, by the way, was fantastic for that.
That's good.
Like, I've never seen a company or a cruise ship work so hard to get someone's luggage.
That's amazing. Now, was the air travel booked through Disney? Because, I mean, sometimes they do that. Most people don't.
Yeah, it wasn't booked through Disney. But like when you get on ship, you can tell them like, hey, my luggage didn't come in. And they will be the ones to call the airlines.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is so fantastic.
You fill out a lost luggage sheet, and then they handle the rest. They call them. They say, hey, we're going to be at this port this day. We have couriers that can go pick it up from the airport. And honestly, they handle everything. I was actually in my in-laws' room when it came on the boat.
Yeah.
And they had some of the officers on the ship come and explain like this awesome story of how they barely got it in time. And we're doing everything in their power to make sure that it worked out. I was blown away by the customer service on that side.
That's really cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so great to hear. I mean, it's not surprising, but it is amazing. Like Disney customer service is just fantastic. So that's great to hear that it was extended to beyond, just a Disney booking where they'll do that kind of thing for you. Because I could see them going like, well, you're on your own. If it was booked through our travel, then we'd take care of it. But it's great to hear that kind of thing exists.
Yeah, I've always been impressed by Disney customer service.
Yeah.
Well, unlike Port Canaveral or Fort Lauderdale, Disney does not have a dedicated terminal in Galveston, and sometimes that can mean a little bit of chaos before you get on board. What was your port arrival like?
Honestly, it wasn't bad at all.
Good.
I've sailed out of Florida, twice before this, and it's really cool. Of course, sailing out of Florida, you get Disney's everything set up. You get the magic kind of when you get there. But we had a really great experience going out of Texas as well. We got out of our Uber, and there was already people there to help us with our luggage. And Disney sends you your luggage tags before you sail out, so we already had those on. We handed it off. Our luggage was at our room, very quickly after we got on the ship, and it's not themed like it is in Florida, but they still have like really fun banners, and all the cast members are there to help you, point you in the right direction. And so honestly, I didn't really feel like it was a poorer experience than sailing out of Florida would be.
Okay.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get on board from when you got dropped off?
That's a good question, because we did wait for my in-laws because they were hoping that the luggage would come in time, and so we got there, we kind of got checked in, and then hung out at the chairs before you get on the ship.
Right.
So we hung out there for quite a long time waiting for them, because you love that magic when you get on and they announce your family name and stuff.
Right.
Eventually, the kids were really hungry, so we were like, maybe we should just get on the boat.
Right.
And, we saw my in-laws a little bit later, and they, made it to the boat like 30 minutes before we were leaving. But it was honestly a really flawless experience.
Mm-hmm.
We got to walk through with my brother and sister-in-law and their kids, and, record them as they said their family name. And it was a great experience.
That's awesome. What was the first thing that you did on board? Sounds like it was probably lunch for the kids.
100% was lunch for the kids. They, I love my kids, but they're definitely Disney spoiled. And
that sounds familiar.
They know Disney now, right? And so their cousins who've never been on a Disney cruise before are there, and they're like, let us show you how it's done. Let me show you how to Disney. Come with us. We will show you all of this magical food that you never imagined in your life before this.
Yeah.
Now, out of your entire party, your family, you guys, what is it, 5, were the only ones that had been on a Disney cruise before?
My in-laws have been with us. Yeah.
Okay.
And, they love to travel. They're retired now. And so anytime we're doing like a Disney cruise or something, they're always like, hey, can we go with you? And we're like, yeah. And they're amazing people. I love my in-laws. And so it's always fun to have them on the Disney cruises with us.
But everybody else, it was their first time.
Everyone else, it was their first time.
Awesome.
Yeah. Got to experience the Disney magic together.
What were initial impressions for you and for everybody else? I mean, this is the first time you've been on the Magic. It's the original Disney Cruise Line ship. What'd you think?
I honestly loved it. I like the smaller size.
Yeah.
Now, I have a little bit of a unique experience, because when I went on the Dream, which was our first cruise, it was during COVID, and it was only at 60% capacity.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit spoiled having such a large ship with, what is it? I think the Dream is 4,000 people.
Yeah, 4,000
And so
max.
it was just over 2,000 people that were on board.
Nice.
And we had so many magical encounters with characters and everything like that. But I still felt a little bit of that in the Disney Magic, because it's a smaller ship.
Yep.
Maybe not as nice of amenities as some of the newer ships and bigger ships, but it's still wonderful. Having a smaller ship that's a little bit more cozy, you don't have to spend as much time exploring and all that kind of stuff. But it's Disney. Everything Disney does is so much fun.
Yeah. What's ironic is, you're mentioning, it's just smaller, but the irony is a bunch of the venues that are there are bigger than they are on the newer ships. So the pub is a place where we love to hang out, even during the day with kids. You go play board games, or, set up a homework station if it's kind of, you're taking some time off of school and you've got lots of places to sit down and spread out. It's almost impossible to find that kind of space on the bigger ships, because all of those venues, there may be more of them, but they're a lot smaller. So I actually love the Magic and the Wonder, because there's not as many people, and everything is ironically just bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love one of my favorite things about Disney cruises are the plays. And I felt like it wasn't that hard to find a seat. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't... we would go in 30 minutes before, 20 minutes before, and we'd still find seats, pretty close to the front, and got to experience that. And I don't know, I like the ship size. I don't see a problem with it compared to some of the larger ships.
Yeah. Well, the good news is the new class of ship that they have announced is going to be, it's a little bit bigger than Magic and Wonder, which are 2,700 guest max. The newer ships, they'll start coming out, I think 29, 30, 31, if my brain is firing correctly here. But they're only going to be 3,000 guests max. So it's great to see Disney going in a direction of not these mega ships, although the adventure does exist, but that's kind of this weird one-off over in Singapore. But, the royal ships and stuff like that from Royal Caribbean, the like Utopia and some of the bigger ones are
I've
like
been on that one.
6,700 or 7,000 guests. I'm like, oh, no, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
It's different. It's definitely different.
Yeah.
What kind of stateroom did you have?
So I've only done a veranda. I've actually never experienced the inside staterooms at all.
No judgment from us.
Yeah.
Like, we're the same.
So I'm actually also pretty lucky being a veteran. Disney has military prices.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And so like if you're a veteran and you're on Disney Cruise Line website, click on the Show More filter below the search engine, and then you can click on military rates and you can get some awesome military rates. So
that's a fantastic tip.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So where was your room on the ship?
We were on the 7th floor, which actually was fantastic because it was 2 floors away from the Oceaneers Club. And then, of course, all the food is on the 9th floor. And so you're only going up to the pools and to the buffet. So it was a really good spot where we only had to go down a few or up a few and just right midship, not in the front or back. And actually perfect spot on the ship.
That's perfect. So I'm guessing you had one of the family deluxe. You've got 3 kids. You've got, was it 9, 7, and 5, I think it is, with your 3 littles. Like, what did they think of the room? And was there enough room for, 5 people and all the stuff that comes with?
So we actually did something different. We had connecting rooms with my in-laws.
Okay.
And they didn't have the military price for the 5-person rooms.
Okay.
And so we had my oldest in Grandma and Grandpa's room. But since the rooms were connecting, like all of his stuff was in our room. And it made it really easy.
Yeah.
And grandparents didn't mind. They cruise a lot. They didn't mind that they're, sharing with the oldest grandchild. But it was fantastic. We just left the doors open for most of the cruise.
Yep.
And it was a really good experience.
Did you enjoy the veranda?
Yes, it's always nice, especially like when you come in from like port and you're all sandy from the beach and you're waiting for a shower, right? And then you just get to sit on the veranda and enjoy the view and
just relax.
Yes. It's wonderful. Or get room service and sit on the veranda and just enjoy your food.
So there's all sorts of stuff to do in a Disney cruise, and y'all had 2 days at sea, including that next day after you got on. What did you get up to while you were on board? Sometimes the highlights are what's off the ship, but a lot of Disney cruises, the highlight is you go to be on the ship. So what did you get up to on board the beautiful Disney Magic?
So my kids, all they ask for is the Oceaneers Club. And that's
awesome.
Yeah, they want to be there all the time. And it's either that or swimming. Like those are the 2 things they want to do. Yeah. And honestly, I'm okay with it if they want to go to the Oceaneers Club. Gives mom and dad some free time. And it's wonderful. Stitch came to the Oceaneers Club. They had this Build Thor's Hammer activity, dance parties in there, all sorts of things, like the Slinky Dog slide on board, super cool stuff. So honestly, the kids were either wanting to swim or in the Oceaneers Club. And I went swimming with the kids multiple times. They've got, for some reason, I can't remember the name of the slide, but the slide that drops out from your feet and you...
The Aqua Dunk.
Aqua Dunk, thank you. Yes.
Yes.
The Aqua Dunk was fantastic. And it was actually like freezing outside for the first day. And the pool was so warm that it, like, honestly, we didn't even care.
That's awesome.
Got to swim. And then most of the time the kids were in the Oceaneers lab or with us swimming. And then besides that, honestly, we hung out with family. We'd go find a table or we'd go to the adults area and sit in the hot tub and play games and chit chat because it's, family we don't get to see that often.
Yeah. Did you get up to any of the trivia or bingo or movies, stuff like that?
I love bingo. So I was always doing bingo. And some of my family joined me for part of it. And other times it was just me and my daughter that wanted to play. So I will always do bingo on a Disney cruise. But no, honestly, like I love trivia, but with that many people, it was more important to us to spend time with the family that we don't normally see.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's perfect. While the kids were stashed away in the kids clubs, which is fantastic, by the way, as you mentioned, like sometimes you get on a cruise and the kids don't want to go in the kids clubs. And you're like, oh, great.
Yeah.
I love you, but I was hoping for an actual vacation. But sounds like you did. Did y'all get up to any of like the adult evening entertainment? So like Match Your Maid or things like that?
Yeah, we had like a pretty specific routine. Usually like the kids would go to the kids club right after lunch. And then they would be there for a couple of hours. And then we had the 5:45 dining time.
Okay.
And so we'd pick them up right before dining, make sure they were ready for dinner, get them dressed up, because my wife always does matching outfits. And the family's got to match.
Of course.
And then we'd go to dinner together. And then usually there'd be like a little bit of a break before the plays at night. And so the kids would be like, we have 30 minutes. Let us go to the kids club. And so we'd be like, all right, fine. So then they would go. And then usually one of us adults would wait in line for the play.
Okay.
And then we'd go see the play at night. And then, I've got younger kids, so we'd usually go to bed after that.
Got it. Okay. Got it. All right. So talking about port stops, first stop was Progreso. This is a city that's kind of sitting there in the top of the Yucatan Peninsula. We haven't been there yet. What did you think of that port? You mentioned the dock is like 2 miles out at sea, so there's a bit of a adventure to get onto dry land. What'd you get up to? It sounds like, I think it was a beach you mentioned?
Yeah. So this was the port that everyone had a hard time deciding what we were going to do.
Okay.
And there's really cool ruins there. There's lots of like really cool things. There's cenotes you can go see, and that's what I wanted to do, but I couldn't get everyone else to agree to it. So unfortunately, we're going to have to go back and see those cenotes and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, no.
Or fortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
So everyone was like, you know what? I just want to get off. I want to go see the beach. And I want to go shop around the local, shops there and get some food. So that's what we did. There's like a van or a bus that takes you back. And we were a little bit after the rest of the family, and found out that there's actually 2 spots they drop you off at. And so we're like, hey, where are you? And they're like, yeah, they dropped us off here. And we're like, they dropped us off completely somewhere else.
Oh, no.
So luckily we just did find my friends and pulled it up on the map, and they were like a mile away. So we just walked there. It really wasn't a big deal.
Got it. Good to know, though.
Yeah, just be aware of that. And then we went and looked at, just some local shops, and then they've got like tables set up, but you can buy things, all that sorts of stuff. My kids love just walking around, seeing all the little trinkets and all that kind of stuff. And then it's right on the beach where they drop you off at, and it's a public beach. And so you usually have people there that are trying to get you to come sit at their seats and sit under their umbrellas and all that sorts of thing. I speak Portuguese, and so I can kind of speak Spanish a little bit. And my brother-in-law does speak fluent Spanish, so we're able to communicate pretty well. And everyone there speaks English fantastic.
Yeah.
So we did that. I think we paid just like $20 or $40 for our family to go sit in these seats, like right in the front of the beach area, and they had umbrellas and stuff for us, and seats and loungers. And then the food is a little bit more expensive when you order it from there, because there's always people that come and want to offer to sell things to you and to get food. But we didn't mind. We're on vacation, so we ordered some food, ordered some pina coladas, that sorts of things, and just chilled. A couple people went and got massages, because there's a place you can get massages right there on the beach, and they really enjoyed that. It was inexpensive compared to U.S. prices.
Yeah.
And got the kids sand toys, and they just played in the ocean for a couple hours, and then went to a local grocery store to get some energy drinks, and then went back on the boat.
Well, as I sit here looking out the window at all the snow falling, sitting on a beach in Mexico with a pina colada sounds absolutely amazing right now.
It was wonderful.
And getting a massage on the beach. Oh,
yeah, and we saved money not paying for an excursion, and so you can do a few extra things, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Love it.
Next up for you was Cozumel. How was that port stop, and what did you do?
Cozumel was wonderful. So we had some of our family had been there previously from another cruise they went on, and they went to this resort called Playa Mia.
Okay.
And we booked everything online before we went, and then also booked the transportation. So we showed up, got off at the port. There was someone in a shirt with, Playa Mia. We jumped in a van and they sent us to the resort. And that was really fun. That was probably my kids' one of their favorite things from the trip.
Oh, cool.
Out in the water, they had blow-up obstacle course.
That's fun.
And then an add-on thing you could do is they had wave runners there or boats that would take you out to snorkel.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had a kids pool that had like a splash pad that had really fun things and some really big water slides. And we just spent all day there, and it was wonderful. Really good food, like authentic Mexican food that you think about that you're going to get when you go to Mexico, and also some more pina coladas and stuff like that too. And it was honestly a really fun, relaxing trip.
Okay.
That sounds delightful. All right, so let's talk entertainment. As you mentioned, Disney Cruise Line is known for some of the best stage show in the cruise industry. Sounds like you make it a point to go to all those shows. So let's talk about what you had. You probably saw Tangled or Twice Charmed, which is a twist on Cinderella. And then did you have Disney Dreams with that itinerary?
Yes, I loved Disney Dreams. It was so good.
So what did you think about the shows?
So I really liked Tangled. I thought it was very clever, really cute. Like my daughter is a big Tangled fan. And so of course she's sitting at the edge of her seat, like wanting to sing along. And Disney just makes everything so wonderful. Like there's so many talented cast members on board. And I'm like, man, you should be on Broadway. Like, and in fact, I think one of the performers was someone that was on Broadway before. And she starred in all three of the plays, and it was just amazing. Tangled was so good, and then Twice Charmed was also fantastic, of course. If I had to pick my favorites in order, it would probably be honestly Disney Dreams or Tangled. They were both so good. I was really surprised by Disney Dreams, and it's an award-winning show. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it won best musical or play out of all the cruise lines.
It may have. We're gonna take your word for it. If anybody finds out that that's incorrect, go talk to Alex. It's not us.
But the cool thing about Disney Dreams is they incorporate so many different Disney movies. And so you get all of your fun songs from all of the Disney movies that you love in one play. And so maybe my son doesn't like a certain Disney princess movie or something like that, but they bring in another movie that he really likes,
Right.
And it's just so well done. Everything that they do is so magical. And they even have the stage production where they, have the floor go away and certain people disappear and the clothing changes that happen instantly. It's just my favorite part of the cruise, to be honest with you.
Did you get to enjoy Pirate Night? Now, I know you were in the Gulf of Mexico, not in the Caribbean, but, pirates are everywhere. So
yeah. And so I love Pirate Night. My wife has clothes for us every time we go on a cruise to have us dress up. Super fun. This show was actually different than the Disney Dream or the Disney Wish from what I could remember. Now, it'd been a few years since I had been on those. It was a little bit of a different show. I remember singing the yo ho, you do this whole song that you sing along with them. It was a little bit different. You get some really cool things though, where Mickey rappels in and all that kind of stuff. And then you get the kiss goodnight, the fireworks. So it's a really fun thing. If you have young kids and they can stay up that late, I highly recommend doing it.
Do the kids like it?
Yeah, they really do. And they always fight over who gets to wear a certain pirate hat or a certain eye patch. So as a parent, you're dealing with that. But they love it. It's
nothing great ever comes for free as a parent.
Yeah.
Well, we can't forget about the food. How is the food on the Magic?
Oh, it was wonderful. And so, of course, rotational dining. You have Animator's Palette. I always want to say Palace. I don't know why. Which is also the same as the Dream, I believe.
Yes.
Yes. And then Rapunzel's Royal Table, and then Lumiere's. And
Yeah.
Since it was a 5-night cruise, we did Rapunzel's Royal Table first, and then we went there a second time. And so
Okay.
the first night we were there, we were expecting, they do a whole musical production with it. The first night they didn't. And I was like, why aren't they doing it? And then I was like, oh, duh, we're going to be coming back and they'll be doing it again.
Yeah.
So we got it the second time we went to Rapunzel's Royal Table. Just a wonderful experience. If you've ever been on a Disney cruise, you know that the service at dinner and at all your meals is better than anywhere else you can imagine. And like the things that I love about it are just, like they make things happen that you wouldn't expect them to do, like go above and beyond. Usually with a Disney cruise, like the first night, the servers know what you like. Like, for example, I always do a Diet Coke with lemon, right? Like that's what I do at dinner. So second night, there it is waiting for me, Diet Coke with lemon. And the food is just wonderful. I don't know if I can really compare it well with the other Disney cruises just because it's so hard unless you're like right there tasting back and forth. But they've all been so good. And like just an example of like what the servers do. Like the last night, the server knew I loved creme brulee. And so he brought me a creme brulee even though it wasn't on the menu that night. Right? Like they share kitchens and are able to do things like that. But the food is wonderful. Lumiere's, they don't really have like a musical production or anything like that, but also a really cool Beauty and the Beast theme. You have roses hanging from the ceilings. And then Animator's palette is so cool. You get to go in there, amazing food. You have these TVs on the wall essentially that show these drawings that are black and white. And as the night progresses, they get color and they come to life. And then I won't spoil it, but maybe Mickey comes out and have this like really cool thing where you get to experience that and have this wonderful music. Honestly, that's another wonderful thing about Disney. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I love like Animators is on all 4 of the original ships: the Magic, the Wonder, the Dream, and the Fantasy, and I love it. And actually, it's been a while since we've been on the Magic or the Wonder, which is ironic because we've spent probably 7 or 8 weeks on the Wonder. But it's different on the original ships. Like that whole like Fantasia based thing. Like this is the original. The Magic is where Animator's palette originated. I mean, it's the first ship, so I mean, it's blazing trails for everything. But there's just something about that classic Animator show that I love, and Sorcerer Mickey's a big part of that. I admit that is right pulling in my heartstrings. But I'm excited to be back on that ship very soon.
The other cool thing about it is they incorporate new movies in it too. Like we're looking around, I'm like, oh, that's a fairly new movie, and they're incorporating that in this. So I thought that was really cool as well.
Awesome. Did you get up to cabanas at all? What'd you think about kind of pool deck food?
Yeah, they have these the shawarma that they have on deck 9 that was like my go-to meal. I love shawarma. Of course, we've got a little bit of an Avengers touch to that, with the shawarma reference in Avengers. But that was wonderful. Like it's a fairly healthy meal. Like, you get a lot of lettuce with it, tomatoes and all that kind of stuff. I would eat there quite a bit. My kids, all they want ever is pizza. So we were on deck 9 getting pizza more times than I can count. And it's, it's right there. So super easy, especially if you're spending some time at the pool. Yeah. And then of course you got to have the ice cream on deck 9. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe just my memory is bad, but I don't remember having a ton of different flavors on other ships. And every day we had a different flavor. Like there was a pineapple coconut, a banana flavor. Like every day there was a little bit of a unique one.
That's cool.
I don't
know.
They rotate out occasionally, but I don't know if they do it every single day. Like I do remember on the what's the last ship we were on? The Fantasy, I think, or the Wish. I don't know. I have seen them change it out every once in a while.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing I do want to mention about cabanas, though.
Yeah.
One day on your cruise, for us, it was the last sea day, they do the churro Mickey waffles for breakfast.
It's so
And
good.
before this, I asked my youngest, who's 5, I said, what was your favorite part of the cruise? And he goes, the churro Mickey waffles.
He's not wrong.
Priorities are straight there.
Yeah,
Yep.
They don't have them every day. So ask your server, if you're going on the Magic, ask your server what day it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to go get those churro Mickey waffles.
Yep.
That is a pretty new thing too.
Yes.
Like that is a post-pandemic invention, and we are here for it.
Oh,
They
yeah.
will do it on all of the ships too. It's not just the Magic, but you do have to find out when they're doing it because it's not every day.
Yeah.
I think it's usually the last sea day, but your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you all get to go to any of the bars and lounges? Like I think Soul Cat Lounge is on there, the Cove, Keys. Yeah.
So I personally am not a big drinker or anything like that. That's just not what our family does.
Yeah.
I know that's like completely against being a Disney fan, right? Especially when you drink around the world at Epcot.
No.
But we did go to the Soul Cat Lounge. My daughter was in a really bad mood one night after dinner, and we're walking by and someone was playing music, and so I just went and was being silly with my daughter, and we danced to the music and just spent some time there to calm her down and just have a really good time. So I probably wouldn't be able to speak on the bars too often, but honestly, we did go check them out and look through all of them, but didn't spend a ton of time there.
Yeah. That's totally all right. I mean, they often have trivia and stuff like that in some of those spaces as well. So even for folks who aren't, frequently imbibing or using those for other things, I mean, there's stuff. There are reasons to go see some of these spots, and just the theming for all of them across the fleet are fantastic. So if those of you who are listening, like Alex, don't always enjoy drinks, that's totally okay. Don't miss out on some of these spaces because they're absolutely fantastic all across the fleet, and some of them even have beignets. So stay tuned.
Ooh, I didn't know about that. I wish I would have though.
I don't know if they do on the Magic.
They don't on the Magic, but there are some lounges and spaces that are New Orleans themed on a few of the ships, and they have beignets available at these
Because I
spaces.
love going to Disneyland and getting beignets like that and the Monte Cristo sandwich. Like, give me those and I'll be a happy person.
Yes.
Now I'm hungry. Thanks, Alex.
I know on the Wish and the Wonder, I know for a fact there are beignets on both of those ships.
Yes.
I'm booking a cruise after we get done with this thing.
Did you guys get to go to Palo at all?
No, we don't do the specialty dinings.
Okay.
I wish we did, but I've actually never been to any of them. I know I should, but
A goal
that's
for
definitely
later.
on the bucket list.
Yeah, a goal for
Excellent.
later.
Well, I want to change gears just a little bit and talk about your charity. It's called the Silent Wounds and Warriors Foundation, I think.
Yes.
Can you share a little bit of your story and what led you to start this nonprofit?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I enlisted in the Army National Guard in 2017, and had a wonderful experience in the Army. I come from a military family. Both my grandpa served in World War II, and then me and my brother decided to join the Army together. And I was deployed in support of Operation Inherent Resolve, deployed to Iraq and Syria. And during one of my missions, unfortunately, our vehicle was hit. There's a large explosion in the front right of our vehicle. And it was something that changed my life. I was briefly unconscious, woke up on top of one of my friends. And from that, I had a traumatic brain injury and suffered pretty badly from PTSD and mental health issues. Eventually, I was medevaced back to Germany, and then from Germany to Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington, and was at the Soldier Recovery Unit there. And I wasn't doing well. I really had bad post-concussion syndrome, constantly had migraines, headaches. I had hand tremors. My hands would shake all the time, and had really difficult times remembering words, remembering things, like talking to people. It was really difficult to form sentences. And if I was really tired, I would stutter. And of course, sometimes I still have some issues with that. But one of my friends, who was a Green Beret with the 19th Group here in Utah, told me about something called hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And he said, "Hey, I'm opening this place. Come down, get some treatment. Don't worry about the costs. We'll figure it out, but it'll save your life." So I end up denying the Army's care and coming home and got treatment. And so what hyperbaric oxygen therapy does is it forces oxygen into your brain and parts that have blood flow restrictions. So essentially, like anytime you're around a blast or anything like that, it creates these micro like bubbles, gas bubbles in your brain. And so normally when your neurons are firing, they have this easy path to go. But when you've had some brain damage, they have to create new pathways, and that's why it takes so long to think of a word or something like that. And so I went and did this treatment. I did 50 dive sessions, as they call them. So you get in this chamber, you breathe 100% pure oxygen, and they pressurize it as if you were like 50 feet below the water. And it saved my life. On about my 10th dive, my hands pretty much stopped shaking. And by the time I was finishing, I just remember getting in my vehicle and just bawling and just crying. It was the first time I had like felt emotions, like felt like I was a person in a very long time. And part of people that suffer from mental health issues, what you do is your body just shuts down. So rather than feeling pain, you'd rather feel numb than pain. And getting my brain healed by doing this treatment, like made me feel like a person again. Like rather than just being so numb, I could experience happiness and I could also experience sadness. And after doing that, I was like, how is it that so many veterans don't know about this? And not only that, is one thing that I really struggled with is like justifying being where I was at. And I know this sounds really strange, but it's almost like, I think deep down it felt like a badge of honor to be injured. And like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, it was the one thing that you could take with you to like justify everything you've been through. And that probably doesn't make sense to anyone. But someone that's been through something like that, like it's really hard to find the nerve to like go and get help, right? Like you almost want to wallow in your own suffering. And the other thing I did is I kept telling myself, oh, so-and-so had it worse than me, or so-and-so has been worse than me, or don't use those funds for me. Like there's someone worse than me, like use those funds for them. And finally I had to get over that and get the help and get the treatment that I needed. And because of all of that I experienced, I've been really trying to spread the word that if you're a veteran, if you've been through anything, right? Like you don't have to feel like you've been blown up or anything, but if you've been through anything, like you're worthy of getting the mental health care that you need. You're worthy of getting hyperbaric oxygen therapy to help with your PTSD symptoms. Like you don't have to justify it to anyone. And so I wanted to help provide that for people and spread awareness of these issues that veterans face. Like we're called silent wounds in warriors. I didn't lose any limbs, but I had a lot of like things you couldn't see, issues that you couldn't see, you know, those silent things that happen. So we started last fall, the fall of 2024. You know, it's the beginning of 2025 and we're just getting started. You know, it's like expensive to treat a veteran, around $7,000. And we just got to $10,000 raised. And so we're now looking for our first veteran. If you're listening to this and you're a veteran, you need help, we're here for you. And you're worthy of it and you deserve it. So that's what we're trying to do.
That's incredible. I get what you're saying and where you're coming from. You know, I work, my role at work these days is with a lot of folks who have history in the military or elsewhere in the government and you know, being forward deployed and things like that. And there is a cohesion of mission and kind of a culture of service, but positive service to others where you were mentioning, hey, I don't feel like I'm hurt badly enough. Go help this other person. And like, that is incredibly selfless and amazing. And it is at the same time so important to remind folks who've been through something like that, that it's okay to get help for yourself too. And the thing that I would just share to folks who are debating in that and struggling in that is like, your desire to help others is in the right place. Your heart's in the right place. But if you don't get help yourself, then you can't help more other people. And Alex, like, I love what you're doing with this, because you're taking that kind of mentality to heart, and that, like, you recognize that, hey, this is how I helped, like, as you said, save your life, bring you back to being functional, and yet you still turned around and said, okay, great. Now I'm to a relatively healthy place. How do I turn back around and pull the guys and gals who are still suffering with this back up and help them too? And just thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I can help one person, then I'll feel like I've made a difference.
Yeah. And it's not an either or, it's a yes and.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
100%. All right. So I want to bring this back around to Disney for just a little bit. And unfortunately, it's time for Alicia's patented Disney torture test. So, but you're strong, you're brave.
Oh, no.
You've got this, Alex.
Okay.
I believe in you.
First off, it's not patented, and B, it's not a torture test. So, yeah. This is just your Disney favorites, fast favorites from like Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, everything under Mickey's umbrella.
Okay.
First thing that comes to mind here. Favorite character?
I got to say Mickey, right?
All right.
Classic.
Yeah.
Perfect.
He's the boss. Favorite movie?
Ooh, that's a really tough one. Growing up, my favorite movie was Tarzan. Like, I love the music from Tarzan.
Yes, good music.
Yes.
Tarzan's one of my top favorites.
There you
You
go.
can't go wrong with the Phil Collins soundtrack.
I know, right?
Favorite ride?
Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind.
Yes.
100%. If that is not your favorite ride, you are wrong.
Nathan.
It's okay to be wrong, everybody, especially when that ride causes you physical anguish. Because I could not go through that ride without feeling like I'm going to hurl. So,
okay, like you have good contrast, right? Like People Mover, great, fantastic, but also when you're in an adventurous mood, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, and I fully support those like yourself and like my beautiful wife here who love that ride. I will happily go find a churro or another snack while you all go ride a Galaxy Rewind. So have at it.
You'll
That
have
or
to
Big
try
Thunder.
it again someday. Yes.
Yes, I'll try it again someday. Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right, Alex, Disney World or Disneyland?
Oh, that's so hard because I grew
This is
up
the torture
at
part.
Disneyland, right? And I didn't really experience Disney World until after we bought DVC.
Mhm.
But I love Disney World. Like
Mm,
I'm just gonna say Disney World. Like
That's
that's such a
okay.
hard question.
It's
but I'm gonna
okay.
say Disney World.
It's okay.
out of all the individual parks that you've been to, what is your favorite?
Oh man, that's again so hard. That's like
We're asking you to pick a
I
child.
know,
I get it.
I know. I'm gonna go with Epcot.
Yes.
I'm an Epcot person. I love Epcot.
Me too. Do you have a favorite hotel or resort that you've stayed at in the Disney bubble?
Yes, Riviera.
Mm.
100% my favorite. I
Great
love
choice.
Riviera.
You've been on 3 different DCL ships. Which one of those is your favorite?
Again, all of these are difficult questions. Like you could argue so many different ways, but I'm gonna go with the Dream. I loved the Dream. It was and again, I'm biased because I was there during COVID,
Yeah.
limited capacity, but the Dream was just so magical.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite Disney restaurant?
Yes, Topolino's.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Topolino. So I think that's why I like Riviera so much because Topolino's is my favorite restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
why can't I? My mind is drawing a blank right now. The steak. What is it?
Yes.
The
The filet.
they had the filet there.
The filet mignon. Thank you.
Yeah.
The best
good.
filet mignon ever.
Yep.
Yes.
And then you get to
Agreed.
experience the fireworks.
Mhm.
Topolino's. You cannot beat Topolino's.
No, it's fantastic. Co-signed.
Last one. Favorite Disney snack.
Disneyland churros.
Yes. And I
Not the same as
appreciate
Disney World churros.
Nope.
Disneyland
Correct.
churros.
Correct. Although, pro tip, if you haven't been, if you are in Animal Kingdom, go to Nomad Lounge and order the churros. They are exquisite there. They're like
They're mini churros.
they're mini churros. They're maybe 5 or 6 inches long, but they're prepared there in the restaurant. It's shared with Tiffin's right on site, so it's not a cart churro. It doesn't have a chance to be ruined by the humidity that impacts the cart churros in Disney World. They're amazing, and they're gluten-free, which means they're healthy for you.
Yes.
So
Yes. Agree. Everything
Yes.
Nathan just said, I agree.
Well, Alex, you made it. Congratulations. What's next on your Disney itinerary? Any trips or cruises on the books?
Yes. So we're going to Aulani in the end of May. Very excited
love
for
it.
that. This is our first time.
Oh, you'll love it so much.
2-bedroom ocean view.
Yes.
Very excited.
Perfect.
And then we don't have a cruise booked currently, but we actually just put a placeholder on a cruise for March in 2026 out of Singapore for the Disney Adventure.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
That's great.
And
Wow.
okay, so we're pretty sure we're gonna book it. It's on hold right now.
Yeah.
Concierge level.
Ooh.
Yes. I think we're gonna try it. It's relatively cheap compared to the other prices I've seen for concierge level.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, "Oh, do we really want to travel to Singapore?" And I'm like, I think it would be really fun. So
Yeah.
we'll probably do it. We'll have to, flights are pretty expensive getting there,
Yeah.
but I think we're gonna book it. We'll see.
Do you think
that's so
do you think
cool.
that's with the kids?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll take the kids.
Cool. Okay.
I've done multiple Disney trips without the kids.
Yeah.
But I always feel terrible when I'm there because I'm like, this is magical now, but it'd be so much more magical if the kids were here experiencing it with us. I get a little bit of Disney guilt.
Mm.
But
Just do it often enough and the guilt will go away.
I know,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Trust us. We know what we're talking about.
Because they'll always come back later. Like, we'll
That's
get them
true.
on another
That's
trip with
true.
us. Yeah.
But very looking forward to our next trip. It
It sounds
should be
amazing.
wonderful
Yeah.
visiting Hawaii.
Well, we will absolutely have you back on to perhaps talk about Aulani, for sure to talk about Singapore if you pull that one off, because
Crossing my
we
fingers.
definitely want to hear about that ship
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, you guys will love Aulani. It is just so beautiful. And we just did a trip there over New Year's.
Yeah.
I think it might be the next DVC resort we buy at. We'll see.
There's still points available.
I know, right?
Mhm. Alex, how can people find out more about Silent Wounds and Warriors and maybe even help out?
Yeah. So we actually have a website. It's silentwoundsandwarriors.com. And there's a link on the top there if you'd like to donate. Also, I have a phone number for the nonprofit. It's 801-459-3770. Also, you can reach out to me if you'd like through email. My email is alexbriggs@silentwoundsandwarriors.com. If you know a veteran that could benefit from talking to us, please reach out. We'd love to help them. And also, if you'd like to volunteer in any ways, any capacity, feel free to shoot me an email. Go on our website. You can fill out the information there. But any way you'd like to help or be helped, we're here.
Oh, that's so amazing. Alex, thank you so much, not just for your service, but everything that you're doing to help others who face injuries like you did. Your dedication to our country and to your fellow servicemen and women is frankly just inspiring. And we're so glad you were willing to talk with us today about that and a little bit about Disney too.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I really enjoyed this.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. We are not affiliated with Disney or their subsidiaries. These are personal opinions and suggestions based on our own experiences. We recommend working with a travel agent or contacting Disney directly to plan your perfect vacation.
If you have questions or suggestions or would like to be interviewed on our show to share your Disney experience, please send an email to podcast@ourmousecapades.com.
You can follow us on socials at Our Mousecapades. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and YouTube.
Please give us a rating and review in your podcast app, especially if that is through Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That really helps people find us.
And don't hesitate to share us with your friends and fellow Disney lovers of all ages.
Thanks for listening. We will be in your ears next week.
Thank you for flying Star Tours. Bye-bye.